while you were talking about that, I was like, this is the perfect guy to share my absolutely insane idea for a project with.
Oh, okay. What is
ready?
it? Yeah, cardboard pianos.
Yeah. No, polyester.
Okay.
So I've had this idea, like sampling sounds from around the world, but I'm talking like the riskiest of situations.
What do you mean?
Like, okay, I'm gonna sound nuts when I first say this, but
we
like,
need bulletproof jackets. That's
no,
the first.
Like that. I want to like go to like the front in Ukraine and find a singer. There has to be some soldier that's a singer. Because listen to this. You can't tell me that guy is not going to sing different, the guy that's about to go into battle, than the person sitting in the booth at home.
That's true.
That guy's singing like it might be his last song.
Dude, you're right.
Bro, sneaking into Tibet and China where you're not allowed to go and getting harmonies from the monks, man. You're sneaking past the Chinese government to get this project done.
Boom.
Oh, we are set.
Yeah. We are live.
Let's
go. What is up? What is up, guys? All right. Thank you guys for joining us. This is the Producer Pod, and today we have a special guest on the podcast. So, Aden, so tell us a little bit about you. What the heck? Where are we?
Yeah, so we are right now at Bamboo Studios. It was started by two great individuals, Brendan Ferry, Jacob Weisbaum, and I have to, start out by giving them a lot of gratitude. These guys have been doing this for quite a long time, and when they started this place, like the first thing was they were just eager to share their knowledge. So they brought me in. I mean, you'll be able to see a bit of the nice background we have going here, but when this place opened, it was...
This is all cardboard, right?
Huh?
This is all cardboard?
Yeah, this is all fake. This is just for an aesthetic.
The pictures.
Yeah. If you play that piano, it falls apart. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, literally, like a couch in there, a computer. We were even doing the mic in there. We couldn't even, run wires through the booth.
Before this was all set up?
Yeah, and I mean, to now what it is... It's really incredible. So I feel very fortunate that they brought me in. I mean, I started out here as a runner, just getting people their soda and snacks from the gas station and stuff. Didn't know what an EQ was. Didn't know what compression was. I mean, and now fast forward a little bit.
How many years ago was that?
Oh, I would say that. I mean, I would say about 2 is when...
Really? So you were just kind of learning about what the plugins were 2 years ago?
I mean, back in high school, I would go through different phases of what I wanted to learn. So I tried the piano, I tried guitar, and then I got Studio One at one point, like back in middle school, when you could only use the interface with the DAW that you have. But it just never stuck. Really. And so when I heard Jake and Bryn were coming back from LA and they were opening a studio here, it was just like, okay, clearly I wanted to do something in music, right? Because I kept trying different things.
Right.
This is my chance for me to figure that out.
Okay.
And I started wanting to do the business side, and I was like, I don't have the passion for it.
What, setting up a studio or what part of the business did you not have a passion for?
So I wanted to try managing artists. Originally, the plan was I wanted to try to become an agent, and I interviewed with CAA, places like that. But something about the creative, the producing, it got me so excited. I mean, the first time I opened Ableton, I was like, this is a whole new world. Yeah. And I just came relentlessly obsessed after that. I mean, from when I downloaded Ableton, this was an everyday, hours a day. If I wasn't producing, I was on YouTube. I was calling Jake and Brent asking, how do I do these certain things?
How did you meet these two?
We try to figure that out. We try to trace it back. But Jake and I knew each other a little bit in high school. Just casually, seeing each other at parties or something. But we stayed in touch.
Okay.
We had one mutual friend that really kept us in touch. And then fast forward to 2.5 years ago, I had known about Bryn because, we had mutual friends, but also he was doing big things out in LA. He was engineering for Corday. So he had developed a bit of a name here, I would say. And I just ran into him at somebody's house. I mean, it was just like 4 of us, and he just stopped by.
You ran into his car?
No. I did that a few weeks later. No. And he was talking about this studio he was starting, and I was just like, I have to find out how to be a part of this. Like,
because this is massive. Like, and the fact that it's in Bethesda, and I've lived in Bethesda for like almost my whole life, so I didn't even know this existed.
Yeah.
And this is like somewhere you could really pretty much do it all. Record bands, and the piano sounded really good, and the room itself sounds really good. So yeah, like this is like a hidden gem.
Yeah.
In a way.
I mean, talk about just pure fortune. I mean, that, you know, like, this is actually what started it. This is funny enough. I was working at a grocery store, and I had met Bren that time, and then I saw Jake post on his Snapchat, like, hey, we're opening this big studio. We are going hard with it. And I just replied to him. I was like, dude, I am a cashier at a grocery store right now. I hate my life. I will fucking quit my job today and be your bitch.
Oh my
God. It means that I get to, like, learn. Like, if I get to do something with my life other than this. I mean, basically, you know, that was that. From that day on, I mean, it's been...
That's the mentality to have, though. Like, there's been times where I've even considered, like, this mixing engineer that would always mix my songs before I learned how to mix, is I would literally think about sleeping at his studio and just learning from him whenever he's not parenting his kids or whatever.
Yep.
He's like, "Oh, I'm still here," you know.
Yeah.
Like
when
you
they're
ready
not
for a session?
living the life that they have outside of music.
Yeah, I'm still wanting to learn from you, but no, that fortunately that never happened. But I do think that having that mentality is what's gonna, like, put you in a position where now you do have access to these great tools and relationships through artists coming in. You're recording them, networking that way. And so how has networking here been? Like, especially when someone books a session, like, when do you feel like it's the appropriate time to be like, okay, like, this is the part where I can make it about me and them instead of it just about them, which it should be for the most part if it's a record, like, you're recording them and they paid you money for it. So
yeah. Well, it's been a night and day difference when I came back to work here full time in terms of networking. I mean, I was down in Nashville, and I like talking to people, so I was able to network there. But I mean, here, I was getting beat sales within a week of being back, and, like, consistently, because there's just people here that, I mean, if you're booking here, you want to work. You know, I feel like the really serious people come here, and so they see me making a beat, they're like, wait. This actually sounds kind of okay. And then I'm like, hey, do you want to hear the catalog? Maybe we can, like, after your session's over, if you want to hear it. And it's like, it's no pressure, bro. One of my favorite feedbacks that I get from people that I'm, like, meeting is, your beats are great, but they're not my style. Because it's like, okay, that's something I can work with, Like, you're clearly, like, honest enough to say, like, hey, it's not my style, but they're still saying it's good,
Yeah.
And some of them, they'll be like, hey, but I have this friend that your beats would be perfect for. Suddenly I'm tapped in with somebody else I didn't know.
Okay.
So I really like doing the, like, on the ground, like, groundwork, grassroots type networking, getting to know the artists that I'm going to be working with.
And that's great that you're, like, actually working with them before they even decide to work with you.
Exactly, because it's like our relationship isn't dependent on just the beat sale.
Yeah, it's been so different for me.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, for me, I literally do everything online. I'll post, like, a 30-second snippet or, like, a idea that I had, and then I just have artists, like, internationally, wherever, reach out to me, and then I'll make a song based off of the reference that they. Oh my gosh!
Oh,
the light,
Lord.
Jesus!
Yeah, it burns.
Yeah. But no, like, they'll reach out, and then based off the reference, I'll make something out of it, and
really,
that's the majority of my clients
is customs.
Is just custom beats.
Wow.
I don't think I've sold a beat. Like, I don't sell beats. Like, I don't send beats and sell them.
You don't have, like, a catalog that you're sending around? Or
no, I don't send my music.
Really?
Unless it's for like specific opportunities, like if I know that that person has that connect to work with bigger artists, then I'll send them. But even then, I'm very like apprehensive of doing that.
Is that out of a fear of people like stealing your work, or is it that's just how you learn to operate from the start?
Yeah, I've been like, I think even from the beginning, I was just so afraid of people stealing my ideas that I wouldn't send anything to anyone. I wouldn't post about anything. And then I got to a point where I was like, how am I going to do this for a living if no one knows what I'm
the best
doing?
producer that no one's heard of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I was like, I got to just start sending little snippets. And actually, I would start out by posting bad snippets, like my worst beats, because I would be like, I can't post my best stuff.
That's true.
That's what I was thinking, and so like I'd be getting clients with my bad, not bad, but like, you know, like the stuff that wasn't my best stuff.
And then when you show them what you actually can do,
that's where I feel like I excel most in tailor-made music with like an artist. Like I can tap like. Lock in with them for a long period of time, work on a whole project with them. That's where my forte is. It isn't really in the, I got a whole bunch of beats, let me just send this to you. Like, I love developing the artist and hearing like what kind of sound they already have, and then trying to like build off of that into something that could be even better or different, or, you know, just push them to keep, because I think creatively, it's like you already know what you know, but it's when someone can offer something a different angle that makes you think a little bit differently. And that's where I feel like that's where I excel, is just making you think a little differently. Because I don't want to give you everything, just give you something everyone else can give you.
And then you just step out.
It's like you're expendable at that point. So I really focus on trying not to be as like valuable as possible in the room, but I also like struggle when there's a whole bunch of artists in the room because I don't know. I'm kind of socially awkward sometimes when it comes, because I really don't know the like, when do I like, hey, do you want to hear my beat now, or like, you want to hear like, what are you working on? But like, if they're already talking about something else and they're like, I'm like, okay, so now how long do we have to talk about basketball before we get back to like,
before it can get to work?
So for me, it's like locking in with that one or two like people, and then just really trying to like grind in some like a creative form, rather than like it be about this. Sometimes it's just like people are just chilling at the studio, and it doesn't seem like there's much actual productivity going on. But it's also being able to like realize that there's a flow, and being like, okay, it isn't always just about what I want in this session. It really is about what is being presented with, like, where's the artist right now. And so I'm like learning how to navigate that still.
That's sick, man. Like that's the way I'd almost like want to move more. But I mean, maybe you had this it's like I got to take what I can get sometimes, you know, and it's frustrating because I have some beats that I really want to pick the artist that would get on them. But, you know, I do this full time. Like, this is like, music is how I feed myself. It's how I like pay the bills. So sometimes it's like, hey, I don't think this is the right person for the beat, but they got money. It's unfortunate that it's that way, right? But sometimes, you know, especially just that I'm getting started doing this like full time, those are decisions I have to make. That's, you know, it's not easy. I've sold some of my favorite beats to people that I know aren't going to drop. And it hurts my soul, but man, I was behind on rent and like had to do what I had to do.
The way I see it though is that's actually why I started just releasing, showing some of my best stuff. Is that it's like no one knows what you can't do, like what you can do if they can't see what you're doing. So also like you could make that best beat even better. Like the fact you made it means that you've learned what decisions led up to that exact sound. And then now you can do something even more creative or whatever. Like, I never get caught on one or two beats where I get screwed by this person. I'm like, life goes on. Like, where's the next thing that I'm going to find inspiration with? Because it's like, even after I'm done with the beat, or a song or something like that, it's kind of like I forget about it. And it's just cool to reflect on. Like, that, there's definitely times where I feel like there's that flow of creativity where you just make so much, and then you look back on it and be like, how did I even do this?
That's what I'm in right now, I feel like, almost. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because, like, right now I'm in that period where I'm just cranking through beats each day. You know, I mean, it's like sometimes 5 to 10 in a day, and I'm just sitting just beat after beat. But I almost feel like I'm not, like, putting as much passion in when I'm doing it that way.
Interesting.
I don't... Occasionally it happens, but I don't get the beats that I'm, like, excited about. So I'm curious how your process, like, you know, how many beats in a day, or do you dedicate a lot of time to one project?
Yeah.
And just make that your baby for the next week or two? It's
interesting because the way that I will make something is that I have to feel like it's a really strong idea. And
so you have the idea before you even open the DAW?
No.
Oh, okay.
I have no idea.
Damn, this guy's a superhuman.
I actually compose it. I write it.
This guy's got a journal with MIDIs drawn out and everything.
I have a phone, voice memos of just fart noises.
C minor, E minor, G.
Yeah. Augmented seventh.
Yeah. Oh my god.
But I do actually have a lot of voice notes just of me humming and like coming up with random vocals and lyrics and stuff like that.
Is your notes on your phone just filled with like critiques of things when you listen to them in the car?
No.
Really?
No, actually.
I'll be driving and pull out the voice memos, like doing the car test on my beats.
Oh yeah.
And I'll just be opening my notes. It's like, switch the release. Like, just random shit. And I'm like, how am I supposed to use this? These are just like my thoughts as I'm going down the highway.
I do that. I actually do a lot of screenshots when I'm watching videos and I see the screens, and I just I'll just scroll through my phone to be like, okay, I've got this like setting for a compressor, but I don't know.
And they're just scattered in, man.
Yeah. Like, I guess it's the mastering chain, I think, like, or it's just random plugins that I don't have, and I'm like, maybe I should look to see what this is.
Check this one out.
Yeah, like there are actually 2 plugins that I found right now that I'm still trying to figure out are actually if they're worth it. But there's one, I saw this ad that they really targeted me with Louis Bell. He was using Spirit. Have you heard of? Oh yeah, it's a vocal plugin that pretty much just has all the like the compressors, the doublers, the reverb, the delays,
it's like
all in the plugin. So you just have to put that at the beginning of your chain, and then it just does. I guess you would put it in after the EQ. Yeah, and then you could have the effects, but. Right now, I'm kind of like just playing with it to see if it actually is better than using those individual plugins.
Yeah.
I'm not sure yet because there's like a lot of presets on it too, which are really cool to go through. And I have been putting it on everything. It does sound good, but I also put it right before my own plugin change.
Yeah.
So I have 2 plugin chains going on at the same time. I learned to put 3 plugin chains. So I have now the Spirit and then my plugin chain, and then I'll put a plugin chain on the group.
Yeah.
So that way, like everything is like really compressed. So like things aren't too, because if you have too many vocals going on at the same time, it's just gonna spike. Or the volume is gonna spike there.
Crazy.
Yeah. So
oh my God.
Putting a compressor on the actual group. So that way, then you're actually bringing the levels so that all the vocals are pretty much the same volume. On top of putting it on every single audio track. I do that as well.
Okay. So is it like you're able to, in this Spirit, you're able to modify though, right?
Yeah, you can tweak it.
So I had this, I saw in Sweetwater on Black Friday, I was doing my shopping, and I see Ozone Elements for $50.
Is that good?
Well, so I thought it was the full one. It's the one that builds you the mastering chain, but you can't change it. I'm like, this is useless.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
You just give me the chain. I'm like, well, there's a big like spike at 5K. They're like, nope, can't change it. You're stuck with it.
You just have to hope for the best.
Yeah, it's like this is, it's like when you're getting started, those are like the coolest things. It's like, oh, it's going to tell me what to do and do it for me.
Yeah.
But now that I'm like confident in what I'm doing, God, I rarely even find myself using presets anymore. You know?
Yeah, well, that's
unless I made the preset myself. But it's like I've got my sound that I'm starting to get down. I'm sure a year from now I'm gonna look back on this and be like, I didn't know shit.
Yeah.
But
you should go back to using presets.
because it's like, man, I even remember a conversation I had 6 months ago that I was saying like, yeah, I found this one preset on this one plugin and it makes everything better. Mm-hmm. And Brandon there just laughed.
Yeah.
I didn't get why he laughed. Mm-hmm. And it's because like as I evolved as an engineer, I was like, one size fits all does not exist.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
I can't use that preset to this day. It's like I can't think of it.
Yeah. Honestly, my presets are just the minimal, pretty much just the compressor, the EQ compressor, sometimes a de-esser, and then I have stock Ableton reverb and delay and a dry signal, and then I will because I'll separate this. I'll have 3 signals on one chain, so that way I can sidechain the dry signal to the reverb and the delay. Ooh. So that way I can get a really clean initial whatever the vocal is doing, and then when it stops, that's when the reverb and delay comes out.
It'll basically just rise up on the tail instead of coming in at the start.
Exactly. Yeah. So that way you can get a really clean signal, a clean vocal at the same time. You can still be using those effects, and you could also adjust the dry wet on the side chain, so that way if you to taste.
Yeah.
But that's what you could do on one, and then sometimes I'll even separate based off of certain words that I want to add a double or a double to a double or whatever effect on it, a delay, and that's when I'll like the ends of a phrase, I'll do some extra effects on it, so that way. Like at least I have a starting point, and then I can modify it with like flangers or phasers or something like that to create cool, or even a panning effect or something like that, which I don't have to do all on one audio track.
You can group it. Yeah.
You can make so many different layers for just that one take, that vocal take, to have like certain effects on it.
I tell you what, Ableton does the automation so right for stuff like that. I mean, as you were describing that, because I use Ableton and Pro Tools, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, in Ableton, what he's saying makes sense.
Yeah.
This went, but in Pro Tools, I'm like, bro, I couldn't. What do you mean?
Oh, do you mix with Pro Tools?
Yeah, I do my mixing with Pro Tools, but truth be told, and I'll say this loud and clear on the mic. Shoot. Fuck Pro Tools. I'll say it, but I use it every single day.
Okay. I'm still its bitch.
Yeah. No, it still owns me. I still have breakdowns when it crashes. But
Pro Tools, take me back, please.
Yeah. I'll be using it tonight. Who am I kidding?
Yeah, it'll be using me.
Yeah. Bro, it's just like Ableton, bro, you press the A, you get to the automation window, and you can draw it in on the group. You can draw it in. Bro, on Pro Tools, you got to be like, do you want to use latch read? Oh, well, if you press play while you accidentally have it in latch mode instead of hear back, it'll destroy your automation. So I'm like, this is the industry standard that we're using?
See, I had no idea.
You're not a Pro Tools guy?
Never used Pro Tools before.
Really?
I use Cakewalk. I started with Cakewalk in the beginning. I actually did the composer with the notes. I would like that. I came from a orchestral background.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I would make my music, and then I would go to Apple stores and make beats on GarageBand. And before I had a laptop, I'd be making beats and uploading them to YouTube. And then with my first beats were unquantized. I would use Photo Booth as the way to record it. I didn't even know how to export it from there. So I would
put my bounce?
I don't know what a bounce was. So I put my thumb on Photo Booth and just played the audio, and you could hear it through there. That's
my gosh,
the beginnings. And then I would even have an artist come in, the Apple store. An artist, it was a friend of mine who were just like, "Hey, let's just go to the Apple store and rap. Let's see what happens." And so I still remember we made this Drake Juice remix, and I remember to this day the flow and everything. Is the first artist I ever recorded was Nick McCumberg, and his birthday is one day after mine, and we're both adopted.
Really?
Yeah, it was just one of those things where
it just worked out.
We just clicked, and I mean that was our first and only project that we did
in the Apple store.
In the Apple store, Drake Juice remix, and it's still actually I took it down. I took down all my beats actually from the beginning because I did that was 11 years ago.
Oh my god!
Yeah, from the Apple Store, dude.
Yeah, you're a long way from the Apple Store now.
We made it, dude. I'm sleeping here, dude. I'm homeless.
Yeah. I'm a squatter. This has all been part of my plan.
Yeah. This is my elaborate scheme.
Oh my gosh.
So let's see. I mean, there's so much we can talk about.
Yeah.
Humble beginnings. Your like. I guess what are you trying to do? What are you trying to focus on now?
Whew. So I would say, like, I'm very big on writing my goals and everything. Short term, I'm really just trying to release it, like get a good portfolio going. So really, right now I'm in a phase of trying to get my name out there, because it's like the people that know my work are fond of it. People that have had me mix their songs know it's good. But what I need is people that haven't had me do work for them still know that I provide like a good service and a product.
Right. Like you need a reputation.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, how can we bring this closer so you don't have to turn your head? Can we just bring this completely forward?
Like this?
Just forward this way. So that way the mic could be like right here. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, like the mic could be here, so that when you're facing me, you're not having to.
Oh, right, dude. This will work.
Yeah, perfect.
Oh, yeah, this is right on me.
There you go.
Oh my gosh, my voice sounds sweet.
Yeah, because you want it to be like boom, like hello.
See, this is great that I'm doing this right now, because I'm actually going to be opening a podcast studio, and I'm realizing that there was more that I needed to learn about getting it going than I thought.
Just a regular standard how to set up a mic.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna. Got the interface, 2 mics. That's that. And I'm like,
Yeah, that's it.
This is why not everyone does it.
Yeah, because that's kind of, the setup alone took like 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's like we already have everything kind of set up behind us, but like in front of us, there's just like.
Yeah, the stuff cameras, that the people won't see.
Yeah. The simple things.
Yeah. Isn't that all of music, though?
Yeah.
The work that nobody's going to see.
Yeah.
The like sleepless nights of just practicing beats, watching YouTube. That like nobody sees when they hear that 3-minute song.
Yeah. That's actually, I feel like nowadays the credit is finally going towards those producers. Like I think we're finally making more of a name for who produced that song, who wrote that song. Like that's kind of what's been, I feel like people talk about that more now than they were before, because it used to be just like, oh, that's Rihanna's song, or that's Kesha's song, or whatever. Like Lady Gaga wrote that. But it's like now we can actually see the credits, on Spotify. I'm always looking at the credits to see who wrote what, who was part of what. Like even when I'm considering who to work with, I look at who the writers are.
Really?
And I try to figure out, okay, is this writer have like this certain tone? To, like, because I want to know, like obviously you can't know unless you're in that room, but there is a lot of, like, there's this producer Trevor who's part of Cheat Codes, and so I know he's the main producer because I listen to all of his stuff and I can hear his influence in what he's doing, and he's actually one of the vocalists. He's the main vocalist in as Cheat Codes, but I can see, and sometimes they have like other people as a producer in there, and I'm like, no, this was primarily produced by Trevor. I can hear it, so I'm like,
that's crazy.
This is who I want to work with, is the primary producer. I mean, it's still like I'm still trying to figure out who, like I think everyone can offer value in the studio if they have like a certain background in music, or like, I mean, actually just even without the background, like I think that outside perspective can be good too, but when I'm looking for a specific sound, I want to know that you can deliver that. And so that's what I look for in when I'm working with an artist, is like, can they deliver a certain standard of quality? Yeah. And then the rest of it is I want to know you have the musical intelligence. That's what's most important. It isn't really about like, even sometimes the quality of the work doesn't matter. Like what really is the quality is like the quality of the idea. And that's what I was talking to you when we met, is that when I'm looking at the potential of an idea, I'm looking at the thought, how much thought went through that creative's, like what kind of creative process they went through and how much thought they actually had making that idea. Like, does it sound thought out? It doesn't have to sound like crystal clear and whatever, like if it's muddy or whatever, like all that's just kind of the mix, and you could figure that out.
Yeah.
Like, but if the idea alone sounds good, then I'll give you a shot.
Yeah.
You know, like I got to know you have good ideas. You're coming with good ideas. Like, I hate people who don't have any experience and they just like, we should all,
I can do it. I see other people doing it. I can too.
They're like the talkers, and like they have no actual experience in the studio, and they just sort of like, dude, we should do it this way. And it's like, I will listen because that's the kind of guy I am, and I'm always willing to give people a shot. But if you're just constantly coming up with bad ideas, it starts to like be in the back of my mind. Hey. It's like, I'm never inviting you to this session again. Like, I'm not going to ask you to leave. Yeah. Because I'm not going to be rude, because I want to keep the peace. Yeah. But I'm not inviting you back. Like,
yeah, I think that's like that's such an interesting boundary, isn't it? That's like when I'm sitting in there and I'm watching, Brent or Jake, two of the owners of this place, mix. It's like I'm sitting there with my way less years of knowledge than them, thinking in my head, like, damn, I would do that. But I got to be like, shit, I'm not going to tell them, like, hey, try this. Like, what? These guys got 10 more years of experience than me. I'm the one that should be picking up the notes. So, and now that's not to say there have been times, I think, like we were talking about yesterday, that's like, I heard something. I'm like, hey, cut out the drums for 15 seconds. And I'm just like, I have to tell that idea. Yeah. But I think you got to be very careful with it. Because creatives, it's just, we have our process. And when somebody comes in trying to be like, hey, do this, it's like, oh, I got
I'm working on it.
I'm struggling to use my process enough as it is. Yeah.
That is true. It's like, and a lot of the time, actually, a lot of the videos I do on Facebook and on Instagram are just like 2 to 4 hour live videos.
I think I saw you were on live from the Guitar Center.
Yeah, I made a beat at 80 minutes at the Guitar Center. I made a beat.
Oh my god!
And I'm making this like house vibe that actually, I look back on it and I think it has a similar chords to the pop song "Sorry" by Justin Bieber. It had like a very similar sounding, and I took it into like a house direction. And I think what we're gonna do is actually strip it back and make like a pop beat out of it, and make it kind of the modern day "Sorry," because you can still use chords that are like that've been used on very popular songs and just make them your own with your own influence, and just like, I think you can remake something so many times and get a different result.
It's really limitless what you can do. Like, just the other day, so I've been learning to play "Stay" by Rihanna on the piano. I don't know cool. Why. Yeah. I was just feeling the vibes, and I was like, bro, there's a perfect 8-bar loop of only piano at the beginning. Like, exactly 8 bars on the T. I was like, I have to sample this. Like, I was like, wait, but I'm using "Stay" by Rihanna. That'll get taken down quick. Yeah. And I mean, I'm talking, I sampled it, and then I resampled what I bounced. And it's like, you can go so far with it. I mean, I think I had resampled it 3 times before I had made the sound that I like, and it turned into a drill beat.
Oh,
like
that's
"Stay"
cool.
by Rihanna. But you will not recognize, I'll play it for you later, you won't recognize it's "Stay" by Rihanna at all. But it's just like that piano intro, that first way that first chord hit. I love that so much. I'm like, how can I use that and make it my own?
That's huge. I think that like through sampling, I love textures. I just love, like, it's almost like you can feel the audio with your ears. Yeah. And when it has a certain tone or that's the way the sound just makes you feel, like you kind of just want to use it. And like you obviously want to use it in a creative way that can't be like we don't want to just be admitting we're like stealing but for practice.
Yeah, it's great for practice. It is.
This is actually
no
FBI.
stealing beats here.
the freaking got a knock at the door.
Yeah. Oh no, it's over.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like I even with like Loop, what's it called
Looperman.
Loopman?
Yeah.
Loopman. That's
Looperman.
Looperman.
Yeah.
Like that website. I was saying to you, like I do believe if you use any of those loops, they are not royalty free. Like,
see, I upload to that, and I mean maybe I'm just getting finesse, but the most I get is like
a high five.
Yeah, no. Well, I do love it when like some people they'll comment with like a SoundCloud link of what they made. I mean, bro, I had this kid in Siberia use my loop and turn it in. He made a banger.
Really?
He made a banger.
That's sick.
I could not pronounce his Instagram name to save me.
Yeah.
I wish I could shout him out right now, but I mean, that's what you find. Like these kids from all over the world that are they just want to do it. And it's unfortunate that probably none of them will get the same opportunity that like we've had, you know.
You think that it makes a difference as where you are in the world?
I think
for the opportunities.
I think it does a little bit. I wish it didn't, and I think that there's an opportunity that like people that establish themselves in this industry can do a little more outreach. Because I mean, I have found people with 30 followers in the middle of Egypt that are making the best hyperpop loops I've ever heard.
Really?
So I think there's an avenue that, you know, people should start trying to search them out, like proactively.
Yeah.
And bring them in, because I don't think we've discovered the best talent and producers in the world. I think those are people that are like, might go their whole lives nameless.
Interesting.
You know? You really think like Metro is the best producer in the world?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, well, maybe.
No, he's good though.
I'd like to believe that like there's kids out there that are just doing it purely for the love of music, and like that's, you know, that's what I think that's what's cool about Looperman is it's like those kids' loops are now getting used in actual songs. So
I wonder if there's like a way to create a platform for producers and artists that don't have. It's like we're competing against everyone else on Instagram and all the other social medias. But like, if there's a social media that's just artists, like only like you can make categories: producers, singers, songwriters, and you can just that's it. And that way you can like, and then also a tab where it's like samples, like all the samples from these artists. And then in those samples is the metadata already in it. So that way if you use it, then it's already going to be like somewhat copywritten.
Or like it documents what loops you're using. Because I mean, Looperman, man, you download it, that might sit on my hard drive. Like I might throw it in a Ableton and forget about it. There's nothing tracking whose loops I'm using.
Yeah.
Except for me. And that's difficult because I'd like to give these guys, like when I use a loop, I'd love to give them credit. But I download so much from Looperman, I don't know how I'm going to go back and find. You know, it's difficult.
Seriously.
So I certainly probably could be doing a better job about, you know, my end on this too. I can admit that, but
yeah. So
it is just this business though a little bit. It's like where do you draw these lines?
Yeah, so it's like that. That's why those producers that are really good aren't actually getting the credit because then it's like an artist will pick the song up and like the beat up, and then they were like, "Oh, I just made this banger of a song," and then no one else knows that it was actually this producer that made the whole song. I mean, made the beat. So it's like, you know, that person will never get their credit. Yeah. And then they're still living in the desert.
Yeah. Yeah. Wherever.
So I think part of it's like there was a time where I was just only doing things for the like kind of the exposure of like the credit of it, and I wasn't even charging anything for certain projects. But now it's about like getting paid up front and getting the credit and getting the back end and having all of that legally binding and like having it like sending the contracts before I send any of the stems or sending anything. Like I want to make sure like everyone I work with knows that is the protocol and I'm not budging. Like we can discuss, we can negotiate, but it's still I'm getting my credit, my front end and back end, unless you're a huge artist and I don't need the front end because I know you're going to take the song somewhere.
Yeah.
And I'm not as worried about the money because, I mean, yeah, you're going to release a song in a year or whatever, 6 months or whatever, and then finally it's going to get pushed, and I might make money a year from then.
Yeah.
But it still would be like, oh, I worked with so-and-so.
Yeah.
And that would make me feel way better so that I could leverage that. And then people love working with artists, I mean, with producers that have those credits.
Yeah.
For some reason, it's that kind of game. Like
it's tough that it is, you know?
Yeah. And,
yeah. That's...
And I feel like you just have to grind it out until you find an artist that does break it, so that way then you have that credit. Mm-hmm. Because approaching these bigger artists, it can be really hard to actually get noticed. Yeah. Because you have so much other noise of people all saying the same things, and so you have to come up with different angles. So the angles that I've been now going with are, I'll look at all the credits of whatever the song is, and I'll reach out to the writers of those, the artists or the producers. And then I'll also look on their timeline to see when they released the song. And then they actually sometimes they have like special, big thanks to blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And they might not even be credited on the song. And I'll reach out to those people, be like, hey, I saw you worked with blah, blah, blah. This is a remix that I made with that song that you did. I would love to hear what you think, or even have it as an official remix, so that way I can get my foot through the door.
Oh my god! So it's like I gotta start taking notes right now.
It's a super indirect way to try to work with the person you actually want to work with, because these huge artists aren't gonna respond to your DMs.
Yeah. What I've been that's funny you said that. Something that I've been doing lately is, you know how like Instagram, every big, you know, producer and stuff, they have their booking email and stuff. I'm sending loops like every day to all my favorite producers' booking email.
That's a good idea.
They're probably just like, this isn't what this email's for, but man, if I'm spamming everyone.
Really?
Just like no with like safe. 5 loops for the day, dude.
I'm coming for you.
Kenny Beats, check your email.
Please,
I'm begging you. Oh yeah.
I feel like you have a alternate persona that lives in Egypt who's also broken. But yeah, that's actually a decent idea.
Yeah, I'm just trying to I feel like it's like you got to pursue every possible avenue. I mean, I tried I'm just going to grind on the beats, and I'm just going to get good at those. Yeah. Then it's like, wait, but I got to market on social media, and now I got to go to networking events, and now I got to send email, and it's like, you realize, there's no stone you can unturn. Yeah. You got to be commenting on people's socials. You got to be DMing people, just to be like, hey, I like your sound. Yeah.
Because you don't know what's going to hit.
You never know.
And
I mean,
it can be so frustrating because it's like, it's such a long game, and you never know. It isn't this quick, I just work. I mean, sometimes you actually make that relationship with someone and it just works, and you guys are now a duo and touring the world and everything like that. But for the most part, when you're actually you don't have much know-how and you're just starting out in the industry, you really don't know how to navigate it. You have to just pretty much put your head down and beat, and just know that you're gonna get so many rejections before one person just gives you kind of a chance, and then that might not even work out, and you're still grinding. It's a non-ending cycle.
I think that's where the switch flipped when I realized I could actually do producing, when I realized wait, I'm gonna mess up a lot. I'm gonna get rejected way more times than people say yes. But if I keep going, it's going to work out. If I fight through that rejection, I mean, I get left on red every single day. Beats out. I will send lots of beats out and get left on red. At this point, it doesn't faze me. I'm I'm going to make another 5 today, and I'm going to send them those 5, and eventually they're going to like one. Eventually, I don't care if they're getting annoyed with my messages, how many I'm sending. Eventually, one of those people is going to like the beat. And that's happened. That's how, some placements have happened for me. And I'm going to keep doing that. I don't care if people get annoyed. I got producers that are like, bro, stop sending me loops.
Really?
I'm like, nope. Here's a country loop.
Wow. Gotcha.
Yeah. You can't evade me.
I respect the grind.
Yeah.
That is important. But I think also a tactic that I will do is I'll see when they're doing a live show, and I'll show up to their live show with a flash drive of all and actually see them in person and hand it to them.
Oh my gosh.
I've done it twice already so far. And I'll go as far as if it's a big venue, I'll walk in, I'll get pat down, and I'm like, who's the manager of this whole thing? Like, who can I talk to that manages the entertainment, the artist who and then I'll be like, okay, do you have access to this person's green room? Could you please hand this to their manager? If I can't if I can't see them in person, I'll find a way so that I don't know if they've actually seen it, because a lot of the times I'll still do it though, but I'll go as far as that to try to get my stuff heard by these people. Skrillex, Lost Kings,
oh my god,
Lizard. There's a guy named Lizard who's did this really sick Millennium remix. And I saw him in person. He even said, DM me after the show, and I'm talking to him, and he's like, dude, really thanks for coming out. I actually, he heard my stuff, he likes my stuff, and I'm like, oh, when can, let's work. Yeah. And so instead of this constant hey, let's work, because that person's schedule is so booked. I stopped that angle of let's work to, hey, I really like the song you just released. Can you send me the stems and I'll make you a free remix? Just straight up, I'll do something for free for you so you can see what I can do for you. So it's really different angles. It's just all about trying to get as creative as possible to get heard. And sometimes it does work.
And usually when it works out, it's those are the best ones.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, I was just kind of in a phase of DMing people, being like, hey, how could what do you need in terms of your music career right now, and is there anything I can do to help?
That's awesome.
And one guy in Memphis, Lil Yogi, he has a few releases, but he sent me his stuff, man. He hasn't dropped this main project yet, and the guy's incredible. And he was looking for a mixing engineer, and I mixed his EP. And now, there's an upcoming release that, man, when I show people these files, I think I showed you one in Guitar Center the other day.
Oh, okay.
That guy, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Man, it's wait, just from networking, reaching out, shooting my shot, and offering to do something that would be mutually beneficial, people actually respond to that.
Yeah.
And it's because you don't know what an artist wants. I would love to just exclusively sell beats all day, truth be told.
Yeah.
I would that's the dream. But some people need mixing. And I still want to work. I still want to do stuff in a studio, so I got to adapt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I really just came on this podcast to talk about some politically motivated things.
Finally comes out.
Finally, I've gotten a platform.
We just got banned from YouTube.
Yeah.
All right, so we switched the cameras on a little bit.
Cool.
Yeah, is there anything that you wanted to ask me, or you wanted to kind of discuss your journey, or anything that you wanted to go over?
What's fun? We had started talking about something yesterday, but I think it's a really interesting thing to look at is the mental health in this industry.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we were just talking about with rejection, that scares a good bit of people off. You're gonna work a lot of late nights. You're gonna have to say no to fun occasions to work on a project that probably won't even get released.
Yeah. That's the reality.
It's there will be those days or days on end where nothing sounds good. And you're just you mix the low end perfect for all the time, and then suddenly there's that song and you can't get it right, and you start getting mad at yourself because it's you can. At least I can. I don't know about how you manage it, but sometimes
I get it right every time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Damn it. Yeah. Imperfections. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
But it's also, I think, so rewarding.
Yeah.
Because man, when you have that writer's block, and then a week later you make that great beat.
Well, what do you do to get out of writer's block? Or do you believe you obviously believe in writer's block?
Yeah. Do you not?
No.
Really?
No, I don't. I believe in consistency, And if you're sitting down, I believe that you could be so bored just sitting there, your brain is going to come up with something.
I agree with that, because it's like one foot in front of the other. Like, even if I'm not making a beat or nothing sounding good, I'm going to still sit there until something comes out.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I think the real discipline is, the real, like, I guess, the real thing is in the discipline. How do I say it? The real
discipline is the difference, almost.
Yeah, the real difference is in the discipline and the amount of the productive focus that you can have.
Yeah.
Because I think that a lot of people will just put in the time, but they're not actually putting in the focus.
Yeah.
So I think it's a matter of like, okay, because that's what I think writer's block is for a lot of people. Is like they aren't feeling focused. They can't find something to channel their creativity through. They're like, they can't make a decision. But for me, I try to be like, okay, if I can't find anything right here, I'm just going to keep digging until I find something that I actually like. Which you could literally, it's so easy, dude. Like, it is so easy to find something you like. Like, you could just put another, like a random loop, reverse it, chop it up, 3 notes.
If you got Omnisphere, go in the movie score section, make a beat with those. Like,
I have never done that.
Oh, we'll do that after this.
Yeah,
We're gonna make a beat exclusively with the movie sounds.
That'd be cool.
Dude. So I'm curious, like kind of on that, like getting outside the box, like keeping your thinking that way. Because like I was saying, if I'm cranking through 10 beats in a day, it feels like I'm pushing myself less than the days where I work really hard on 2.
You mentioned earlier that you made like 5 to 10 beats a day. That's crazy to me.
Really?
Yeah, that's so many beats.
Dude, I put a timer on sometimes and see how quick I can do it.
Okay, that's cool too. Like, but that's not, sometimes it could be your best beat, but I feel like there's just a process of quality control. Like, you have to find the right sounds.
Yeah.
For me, I hate just going with the first idea that I have.
Yeah.
And I need to expand and develop. And sometimes I'll even, like, after 40 minutes of working on one thing, I'll just be like, no, actually just the drums. That's the only good thing that I did in this entire thing. But I did not know, I didn't have those drums in the beginning. So I had to go through a journey to get to something that I actually can use. And then when I have that, then I'm like, okay, now let me change these chords. Or like, let me throw a random vocal chop. And then I'll find some chords. I'm like, actually, the drums sound bad with these chords.
But the chords sound good.
Yeah, exactly. The chords sound good. So, like, it's just using, like, everything as, like, a step to that next decision. And then figuring out what's the strongest idea. And for me, like, I can do that either really quickly and be like, okay, this just feels like a good idea. Because you could have so many ideas and you just know when an idea feels like it's, like, that's the one. And then there's also times where you have to be like, oh, this idea is actually... Because you kind of want to sometimes hold on to your ideas.
Yeah.
You're like, I just made 2 really good things, but they don't work well together. So it's like, what do I do? It's like, all right, then sometimes I'll just... Dude, I just keep throwing stuff at the wall, and I'll just keep shifting my projects. Like I'll have one project, and I'll have like 3 or 4 different ideas.
Like within it?
Yeah, in that. And then I'll sometimes mix and match. I'll like be making like 3 or 4 songs to make one song. Yeah,
and you're looking for that piece and you're like, oh wait, I already made it on a separate thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so funny. I was making a beat the other day and I was I couldn't, like, it needed that one piece, like that thing to add, it's like I got the basics I need. I think it was like I wanted a bell.
Okay.
And I go on Looper Man, which I clearly am just a spokesperson for now.
Congratulations.
And I hear a loop that I like, and then I was like, wait. And it was mine.
Oh, what?
And I had uploaded. And I was like, damn, man.
Wow. At least you didn't have to credit. You could credit yourself.
This is never gonna get cleared. I heard the guy's a dick.
How do you make your loops?
Man, I usually wait till I'm dead tired at about 3 a.m. I wait till I wait till I'm about half awake and I've been working on stuff all day and I have no brain cells left going. And then I just I either open Addictive Keys or Omnisphere, and I literally just start pressing buttons on the MIDI until I hear...
Oh, you click in...
Well, I'm just clicking to hear, like, okay, I really like how the D minor sounds with this synth from Omnisphere. Like, I'll find that and I'll be like, okay, that's my root note.
Okay.
And then, like, I just build from there. And that way, keeping it formulaic, like, I can crank out, like, a good, like, 5-6 loops in, an hour or so. The other day, one person came in here and said, like, hey, I need 6 hyperpop loops. And before he had even left, I was just like, here you go. Here's the zip.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I really love the making loops part.
Okay.
I think that's just like a fun, because I like working with other producers. I think, since I'm still fairly early on in this, I benefit the most by someone doing something with a work that I started. I think, and for people listening, that like a starting point is having somebody experienced that will work with the work you provide them. So it's like some of the most beneficial learning experiences I've had have been when the owners here see me starting a project and then I get to see how they would finish it. I get to see how they would like mix the beat. And I just sit there and watch it, and stuff like that just comes from me starting a loop, and that's like that's by far the most beneficial learning, I think.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, for me, I had to find a mentor, and honestly, just like getting feedback from my music is kind of what's been creating this like feeling if I'm making something good or not, like. Because if you're listening to the same song for so long, like you get kind of lost in it sometimes, and you don't even know if it's good anymore. Yep. so like
am I going crazy?
The fact that like there was this one song that took 2 years to make, and I started it I found a street performer that was out in DC.
Oh my gosh!
Named Joe the Show, and I could hear his voice bellowing in the streets in Georgetown, and he was like right behind the Chase Bank, and there was a whole bunch of people in the parking lot just listening to him and his band, and I knew Jason, who was the pianist. He actually worked at the Guitar Center we were at as a piano teacher, and I met him there. He was playing the piano, and I really liked what he was doing, and I just love making connections with artists, and so I got his information. I said, anytime I have like a session or something like that, I'd love for you to be involved. I'd love to have your influence on it.
Oh my gosh,
like piano.
That's the best, man.
Yeah, and so I approach Joe to show when he's singing. And after, not when he's singing, but after he's singing. Yeah. Like, hey, dude,
stop it.
Stop. It's good. It's good. No, I like it.
But we need to talk.
Yeah, we need to have a conversation. But no, afterward. And he's like, yeah, I'm down to write. Because I was like, hey, do you write your own music? Because a lot of these artists are cover artists. And you don't really know. It's a completely different game to actually make something.
Yeah.
From
scratch.
Yeah, literally.
It blows my mind sometimes. Every time you open a blank session.
Oh, really?
And you're like, something's going to come out of this.
Yeah.
It's like if you got a pianist and a singer that you just found, you open that blank session, you don't know what's going to happen when you click export.
Yeah, that's true.
But something's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because like...
and hopefully the power isn't going to go out because you can't afford to live there anymore.
Oh my God. Yeah. Otherwise you're just a person doing random things.
You're an electrician.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But yeah, so he comes a few days later. He comes to the studio. I'm living in DC at the time, and just a small bedroom, studio, not even treated walls, like microphone, and we make the foundation, just like a few chords, and we get into this kind of R&B vibe. And he's just like, he's a belter, so you can just hear so much soul in what he's doing, but it's very aggressive. Like he can't really. It's harder for him to tone it down, and so like
one volume type.
Kind of. It's just like this, like Like, and it really worked to get the idea down, but I felt like it was missing this like more of a dynamic range where it's like it can bring it kind of more of like a neo Usher and then bring it loud again and kind of like have that contrast, because I think that's what makes music really great is like effective contrast. And I notice it in artist performances. Like a really good artist has moments that are like, what about you? And then they're like, they're getting really close and intimate with the mic. With like, it's that range is what I love in an artist. So when we finished the song, I had I called Jason, and he had a talk box, and so I got him on the beat with his talk box saying the words that we already wrote, like don't know her.
Harmonizing that.
Like, and it was just so cool to have that. And then I just felt like it was missing that extra, like the factor that's going to lead the whole thing, which was just like a different vocalist. And it's really hard, especially when you're starting a project and it's someone who's like I think it's just also an ego thing too. It's like it's our project, like my voice should be on it. It's like, but you also have to consider the full like vision. Is this going to sound? Is this the best way it can sound with your voice? And for me, the answer was no. And I found this other guy. His name's Corey. And he was also a street performer singing on U Street. Really amazing vocals. Like, I'm telling you, like Usher level vocals, like crazy vocals. Like, whoa.
And wasn't I just saying the best talent might be still hidden?
Yeah, seriously. No, this guy, he's finally like creating a buzz too, which is great. And he does his own music too. And I reached out to him. I after getting his information, I reached out to him and said, hey, I have a song already written. I just want you to sing it exactly how this artist, like with the melody and everything. Put your own embellishments and stuff on it, and I'll pay you $50 for it. Like back then, it was like I mean, I'll pay you for it. Yeah, I was like, everyone was working. We're all working for free at the time. For me to be like, hey, I'll pay you for it, like. I could tell it was one of his first projects that he got paid for, because I asked him how much he charges. He's like, I don't know. Yeah. And I just said, I'll pay you $50. And he's like, okay, I'll take it. Deal. So
$50 and I get a song.
Yeah. And so he sang the thing. He killed it, man. Killed it. Like, and so I sent him $100 because I was like, dude, you deserve way more than 50, and this is all I can afford right now. And we released the song, and I think that it's like what the song. And I went through so many versions of the song, thinking that this is like because when you're working on one song, it's like, how do you know when it's done? That's like it can be so hard to know.
Could make $1 million if you figured out a definitive way.
Yeah. And so I actually ended up going to one of the first versions that we did, slow and just a slow R&B vibe with Corey's voice, and the rest is history. We released the song. But that, like, man, like, the process is going to be different for every single song. Yeah. And it's kind of like you have to listen to what is the song giving you.
Yeah. So, while you were talking about that, I was like, this is the perfect guy to share my absolutely insane idea for a project with.
Oh, okay. What is
ready?
It? Yeah, cardboard pianos?
Like no, polyester. Okay. So I've had this idea of doing, like, sampling sounds from around the world, but I'm talking, like, the riskiest of situations.
What do you mean?
Like, okay, I'm going to sound nuts when I first say this, but,
we need bulletproof jackets. That's the first...
Like I want to, like, go to, like, the front in Ukraine and find a singer. There has to be some soldier that's a singer. Because listen to this. You can't tell me that guy is not going to sing different, the guy that's about to go into battle, than the person sitting in the booth at home.
That's true.
That guy's singing like it might be his last song.
Dude, you're right.
Bro, sneaking into Tibet and China where you're not allowed to go and getting harmonies from the monks, man. You're sneaking past the Chinese government to get this project done. I'm talking like shells going off in Afghanistan are like the snares. Okay?
I am so down.
I want a tiger about to maul a wildebeest sampled on this, and I'm gonna put it on the MIDI keyboard and play that. I'm gonna find the key that shit's in. Because, man.
If you live, if you get out of jail from breaking in.
I'm gonna come back from this project with, like, long hair, disheveled skin, a long beard. Look like if Rick Rubin got on crack.
Yeah. And you forgot why you even got into it. Like,
yeah, it's like,
the game. Like, dude,
my family has long disowned me.
Dude, you won't. These samples are the best samples you'll ever hear.
But man, it's like, I don't think you can tell me that person who is playing guitar in, like, Nepal for pennies is going to play the same as a guy playing a session in this studio. That person's playing like they're not going to eat if they don't get these, like, tips. Yeah, I want a sound that's combining all of those, you know?
Sheesh.
And finding a way, obviously, to make it look good. I'm not just going to throw in a random guy screaming in war, you know?
You're dodging shells like mortars.
Yeah.
This guy, he actually dies while he's singing.
Something like that.
That was really close.
That'd be a verse that nobody else has gotten.
Yeah, seriously. And you don't have to pay him.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Dang, that's next level.
You know?
But that's like so passionate about getting the right samples.
Man, like, get a rap verse by one of those, like, Mexican drug lord, like, guys, you know? Like, I bet there's some of the guys in those drug gangs out in Mexico that are rappers. Get them doing a verse. Like, somebody that's a real... really in that shit. I bet he raps different than the guy that's coming from the suburbs.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, so that's the beauty of like international sound is that
I want to know how you get tapped into that. You do a good bit of that, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I'd love to learn about that a little bit.
And a lot of it just stems from those people reaching out to me.
Really?
And
them finding you.
Yeah, I think that, like, that's something that I've heard and I didn't really, like, understand is that, like, if you are really good at what, like, if you just put your head down and focus on what you can do and get really good at that, like, you're sometimes you feel like, oh, why aren't people, like, responding to this? And just sometimes it means you're not good enough. Like, it really just means that you need to get even better at what you're doing to create attention that you don't even need to, like, the relationships just kind of happen.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't even have to try. You didn't have to send on the flash drive. Like, you didn't have to do that. Like, that does work. Like, but what really works is that those people that you've always wanted to work with finding you.
Oh my gosh.
And so, like, it's luck. A lot of it's luck. But it also is about being so consistent with what you do and getting better and better at that. Because I had this time of where I was like, okay, I want to do music full time. It was during, like, right before COVID, that January 2020, and I was like, I got to figure out how to make money off of this. Like, I'm not making anything, and I'm working with all these artists for free, and it's like I was even paying artists to sing on my stuff, and it's like, how am I making this isn't working?
Yeah.
You know?
This isn't sustainable.
Yeah, it's not sustainable. So I was like, well, I'm going to make a YouTube channel like everybody else and do tutorial videos and stuff like that. And so I did, like, I bought the camera, you know, a really nice camera, really nice lens. I think it's like, it was top of the line back, you know, 2020. And I spent 3 months making 30 videos, about 5 videos a week, of me, you know, filming for 6 hours. Oh, no, filming for 3 hours and then editing for 6 hours to try to get the footage looking right and getting the thumbnails and trying to push myself as much as I could through social media. I was doing little reels to try to, like, show people a little summary of the video so they can watch it, like, get people to watch it. Dude, I would still be only getting, like, 100 views or like 150 or stuff like that, and I did that for 3 months, and yeah, that's not that long to do it for, but I realized that I wasn't even making music. Like, I was spending all this entire time just editing videos and learning, like, the editing software and the video, like, how to like the ISOs and this. It actually, a lot of it is beneficial now because I do think I'm good enough.
Yeah.
Where now I can document the sessions and stuff like that, and now I can make a product out of it.
Yeah.
But before, man, like I didn't realize I just wasn't good enough to even have that takeoff.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's a difference between like just knowing where you're at in your in the journey. Like don't expect people just be wanting to work with you when you haven't got your stuff to that point.
Yeah.
Like to that level. So like those doors will open when they actually see the value in you, and you can seek it. You can spend a long time trying to find those people that will actually want to work with you and that are good enough to like you actually make something really great. Like, but in a lot of times, like I just focus on me. I focus on what I'm doing, my own sound, my own music. I do a lot of remixes and stuff like that, and then people reach out to me, and I get these opportunities, and I'm not pulling my hair trying to figure out if this person, like, I'm not wondering what my next, like, I mean, yes, there's the element of like where's the next client coming from, but it isn't like I'm starving that I'm like reaching out to everyone to try to get a like, hey, you need music, like I'll give you a deal. It's like I don't want to be the deal guy.
See, I'm stuck at that point right now.
Because if I'm giving a deal to everyone, they're only going to want to work with me
when you do the deal.
When I do the deal, and it's almost like I'm devaluing what I bring to the table, my brand. And so I want to just be like, I'll only do the deal with someone who I actually have experience with that has paid me full price before, and I know that okay, we're going through a recession, we got this bubble, the bank bubble, whatever, like. People are struggling, and so you have to, like, last year was one of the hardest years for me as a producer. I actually had to get like a part-time job to try to make ends meet because I was realizing that no one was, I mean, people were reaching out, but they were broke. Yeah. And so I was like, I usually charged way more than what they were asking, and I'm thinking, well, if I just do it for this much, then they're going to expect this constantly, and I'm like, They want to even do like a buyout for much less, and I'll rarely even do a buyout beat. Like my buyout beat, my prices for buyout, if you want to buy out the royalties, and I'm not being involved at the back end, is way more. And a lot of these people can't afford those bigger prices, and there's just certain things I'm not willing. I got to stay strong to my brand, and if that means getting a part-time job. I'm gonna do it because I'm not gonna sacrifice because let's just say I bite on that project, the $600 project or something like that. Now I'm spending all that time working on this song that's gonna like maybe get me that month's worth of rent, whatever. You know, like I do think that there are some certain things that you should be like, okay, at least I'm eating, like my rent is paid, and
it's gotten to that point recently for me. Times where I'm like, bro, I have no money in my bank account, and I'm actually hungry. Like not hungry for work and the like, oh, let's hustle type. It's like, bro, my belly hurts. I want more food. And I'm like, fuck, man.
There's like part of it is actually having enough money saved up so that way you're not in that scarcity mode where you're just willing to take anything. Yeah, because
that's got to be huge.
Because when you are just taking anything, you're sacrificing on the bigger picture in a sense. Because you're now spending that quality time that you could be working on yourself, working on your brand, or that client finding you, or working on another piece of content or a different song that actually gets that attention that would get you that high paying client. You're spending that on a low-paying client who, let's just be honest, any person who's trying to get a deal on a song, more likely than not, are not going to like have that much of a promotion plan. They're not, like, it takes you a lot of money to even promote a song. Like,
I have definitely found that the ones where I negotiate a deal are the ones that don't get dropped. Like, that's the one that gets cut from the project usually.
Yeah, so like,
which is so frustrating.
because you just bent over trying to give this person what they asked for, and they gave you half of what you thought you were worth. So like, you're not creating a great relationship there.
Yeah.
You want to create a relationship that you guys both feel like you're winning. But I'm always going to try to add a little bit extra. Like, you might send me a vocal or something like that, and even a lot of the times, like, this is how I got some of my my higher paying clients, is that they'll send me a vocal. I'll just ask them, just send me whatever. This is before we sign anything. This is just like us talking. Just send me something. And so hours later, and I have such a fast workflow that I can make like if you just send me a vocal, I can make the whole thing in like an hour or two, and I'm gonna make it sound really good, or at least 30 seconds of it, and I'm only gonna send you 30 seconds.
Oh yeah,
of this like really fleshed out idea,
and it's like they want to hear the rest.
As soon as I send that to them, they're like, "Here's my money, dude."
Yeah,
like that's it. It's almost like they get a taste of the product before they even buy it. Sometimes you have to do that, but I hate, like, for the most part, I just kind of let what I've done, like posts and stuff like that, speak for themselves. And like, I've even got like this guy in Morocco. I was working with this. He reached out to me. He was a manager for some artists, and I actually ended up getting the song that I made for him signed in Morocco for one of their artists. But the way that our relationship started is that there's just like, oh no, I'll pay you half up front, and then I'll wait for this, and then how do I know you're not going to steal this, and whatever. It's like this kind of like uneasy energy.
That's how
and
it
I just say, like,
is.
It's not in my best interest to steal your money.
Yeah.
You can ruin my reputation. You can tell all the people, this business is, I will not be able to sustain my business screwing you over.
Yeah.
And then after that, they're just like, here's all the money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thank God, because I spent so many years haggling, and I'll just do $100 up front, and then you can pay me in 6 increments and whatever. It's like
6 installments of $7.99.
Yeah, seriously. And it's like, when am I going to get the next paycheck? Like, I hate having to ask for my money. And so I just say, I'm like, you know what? It's just up front. You sign the contract. We get it all handled. I'm not having to. We're not talking about money after this.
When do you think your work started speaking for itself to the point that you were able to do that, though? Because I think that's not a point that everyone can jump in at, you know?
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
I recently, like, made the switch from having a part-time job and producing to, like, producing and engineering full-time. But with that comes, like, I kind of do... I don't have as much projects out, and, like, that's definitely a struggling point in negotiations for me right now, is, like, I can show you, I'll do it in front of you, I'll even send you a mix of someone unreleased, but, like, I'm not at the point where my work speaks for itself to the point that I can hold that ground.
Yeah.
You know? Or maybe you could tell me I'm wrong for thinking that.
I have to hear it. I have to hear it.
You know?
There is a... one, it's about how you sell it. Okay. Because it's really about how confident you are with that artist. If you can full-fledged... Like, I've even created... relationships with artists that end up paying me my full price without hearing any of my stuff. 5-minute conversation, they just sense it. I love those people. They feel it. They just feel like this is someone I can trust. And I mean, I trust myself, and I'm like, dude, I'm going to deliver. I really am.
Believe me.
and like, that's the thing, is I think that I have such a inner belief that what I'm going to do is going to be the best fit for that artist, that sometimes speaks for itself, that you don't even have to hear the music. Yeah. So I think it's believing in your music is one of the biggest parts.
I only got to that point recently, I can admit.
Yeah, and then it comes actually to that, like, if you're talking about social media and then people reaching out to you, that's when you actually have to have, like, something that people are like, whoa, this is next level. This sounds good. Like, I haven't heard this before. Or, like, who are you? Like, I want, like, now they're a fan, which actually in majority of my my clients are just producers that don't know how to do what I do, and that want to make a song, and they don't have the patience to actually learn. Sometimes actually they become my students, and then they end up hiring me as a producer. And so I'm now getting paid from all those fronts with teaching them my production skills. So that's actually why I'm also working on a masterclass. So that way you can get that personalized experience one-on-one, and also get the whole rundown of all the chapters of like how I make music, how I find inspirations, plugins, all my cheat codes, like techniques, layering, mixing and stuff like that. Stuff that how I make music, and also how I work with artists. Pretty much
that's such a big part. And I mean, studio etiquette.
Yeah,
that's one thing that I'm really grateful for this place. Like, it's like the little things in relation that you don't know. I think it's like it's just being comfortable, like in this environment.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think this can be intimidating to people.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of known as one of the most brutal industries, I think. Whether that opinion is actually true or not, who knows? But
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, but that's I think why like getting a mentor and having an internship or something when you're starting can be huge, because it's like you're comfortable. I got comfortable being in there with rooms full of people. I can still manage the room when there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
And I mean, simple things like, man, I used to sit in the chair that blocked the door, and I was like, this is stupid.
No one's getting out until they pay me.
Yeah, it's like just unknowingly, it's like you like be in the back of the room if you're the intern. Like don't be blocking people's way.
Oh yeah.
Like it kind of you develop yourself eventually over time, but
I actually need to learn. I want to learn how to do that. I want to take notes from you.
Yeah,
because that's huge.
I think that's the one thing that has helped me a lot is one thing that's really big is I'm comfortable when I meet like a bigger artist now. Obviously, for NDA or anonymity's sake, I'm not going to say who, like all the people coming through here, but it's like I've seen big people. When I was in Nashville, I met some big people, and
physically
it's like,
big people too.
but like, and it's just like you got to treat them like an average person, because there's going to be that person in the room that wants to get their attention and is being all weird because they're like around a famous artist.
Oh yeah.
But if you have that experience, it's important. They're regular people.
Yeah.
I don't care how big you are. You're not a regular person.
You
are a regular person. Sorry. Yeah, and it's like if you can be comfortable around an artist that big when most people in the room are going to be uncomfortable because of them, you've built a relationship with a solid artist right there. You are the person in the room that they're down with.
That's super important.
And it's because there will be that person that's like, I need to be in the room with them and I need to try to talk to them.
That's me.
Yeah. Dude.
Yeah, because I'm like, I just need that one chance. Like, I got this. But I hate feeling needy. Like, in a lot of, I think I'm really, like, I've learned a lot from my own personal development of, like, how to conduct myself and just, like, coming from a more of a abundant mindset where it's, like, nothing that, I almost feel like I don't need anything, and that I'm coming into a room with the sense that I could learn something, but like with no expectations. Yeah, that I'm not there to either prove. I'm not even there to prove myself. Yeah, like I don't need to, and I think that's where that inner confidence is that I don't need to show you what I can do, and
I just need to do it.
I just need either to do it or just. The fact that you're in that room means a lot. Yeah. Like, that artist, which actually majority of the artists that are already, like, are big, have such a entrepreneur mindset where they're like, what do you do? Yeah. Like, they're the ones asking the questions. They're interested in knowing who's around them. Yeah. And so you don't even have to be that needy dude. Yeah. So you could just be chill. I would say the best thing you can do is just have a great time. Yeah. And just like be able to like, just be that chill guy who can listen and not make it about them. Yeah.
And another thing that helped going along those lines is like I'm usually the only person in the studio not smoking or drinking and stuff,
I hate that. I hate smoking or drinking
really?
Like in the studio sessions.
Yeah.
I hate this. I hate smoke in general.
Really?
Yeah. Plus it's like I feel so unproductive.
That is true. Man, but I see some of these artists that come in and they'll smoke like 5 Fat J's and then hop in the booth and just write it all, and they kill it.
Sick.
I'm like, man, I would be sitting at home asleep with cartoons on, eating disgusting food.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's fun. Like I can kind of be the voice of reason almost now, which I was not at all before. I was that guy in the studio.
Why were you eating disgusting food?
Man, if I don't know, like when I used to get like high as shit, I just like, bro, I'd sit in there and literally just order like so much Popeyes.
Oh.
Like instead of networking.
Oh, really?
I'm sitting in the back just shoving chicken sandwiches in my face.
You're networking with Popeye.
Yeah, exactly. The Colonel loves me. But now it's like
They have some sick drumsticks.
oh, bro. We'll play that on there.
See, we needed that symbol. Yeah, the symbol.
Yeah. But now it's like, man, it's cool. Like I can just sit and observe, kind of, and I'm in my right mind. I'm pretty confident that if something goes wrong, I'm not going to be too high to figure it out or anything. Yeah. You know, like my mind is fully clear. Which is something that I've come to realize not a lot of people come in the studio with. And I think that's been like kind of the defining factor in what's helped me move so far so quickly. Really is like my mind being clear, having an ambitious mindset, and just like
being hungry for it.
Yeah, being hungry for it, taking care of my mental and being hungry. And that's a hard balance to have, you know?
Yeah, like I mean, you are starving, so it's easy to be hungry. You know what I'm saying?
Can I borrow a quarter?
Yeah, because I want to eat it.
Yeah. Man, people are producing songs on their iPhone now.
I actually downloaded Ableton on my iPhone.
There's an Ableton on iPhone?
Yeah. I was working, while I was doing part-time, I would be making beats on my phone.
Really?
And it's super hard to do.
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine.
Actually, I'm using it, but I'll show you some of them. Like you can, it's weird because they don't have like a record feature. It's kind of like whatever your main idea, however long that lasts, that's going to be like the loop, and then you have to kind of session play it. It's very hard to. It's challenging.
It's a difficulty.
I still am learning how to do it, but I kind of stopped it. Like, it's just so confusing.
It's like, this was fun at first.
Actually, that's how I lost my job.
Really? Where were you working?
I was working at a club.
Really? Which one?
I'm not going to say. Yeah, it's just a high-end club.
Yeah. But, I thought I recognized you. No,
with the top hat.
Yeah. No, but I think those days of having to work another job while I was producing, like those are what get you hungry.
Yeah.
Man, I was working in catering.
We do too.
Down in Nashville. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I worked at Belmont College there. And my job entirely was to take the food from the kitchen, push it in carts across campus, and unload it. 8 to 10 hour days in the Nashville summer, wearing an all-black uniform.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I mean, I'd walk 12 miles in a day. I'd check it on my phone.
Jeez.
And then I would still be like, I'm going home to work on music for 6 to 8 hours.
Wow.
I'd do, maybe 4 hours of a beat, and somebody would call me up for a session. I'd be like, I'm doing it. I was drenched in sweat, man. I was tired, but what I realized was if I want to change my circumstance, if I want to change the fact that I'm working a catering job and I'm not happy with that, I have to grind harder.
Yeah.
Because clearly how hard I'm going isn't hard enough.
Yeah.
Because I'm still working catering.
Yeah, exactly.
And when the day comes that I don't, like, that day that I got to put in my 2-week notice because I was doing music full time, going to go down as one of the best days.
Really, yeah.
That moment of walking out of there. And being like...
You lit that place on fire.
Man.
Like, I'm out of here. And then you sampled it.
Yeah.
That's the screams. That's real.
Yeah,
Those are real screams in my beat.
Definitely wish I had sampled when I dropped a whole plate of lasagna. It was like one of my last shifts, man. And they were like, you've done a great job here. We're really going to miss you, bro. I drop a whole plate of lasagna. We meant for like 100 people.
Oh my god.
And I was just like,
You ate it.
I don't like lasagna.
I'm lactose intolerant.
Yeah, I actually am.
Yeah, me too. That's what's up, dude.
I think everyone kind of becomes at this age. It's like, man,
It's
whatever.
not
It's
good.
weird if you're just sitting drinking milk, like as an adult.
That's
like,
me.
Really?
I love coconut milk.
Oh no, I mean
Yeah.
like if you're sitting drinking like a 2% milk.
Oh, yeah, that's
like
still
if
me.
Really? But you're lactose intolerant.
Yeah, I know, but I
You
get
just
the
cut it?
lactose-free. No, lactose-free milk.
Oh my gosh.
There's days. I mean, also like kefir. Kefir is really good. Have you
Yeah.
had kefir?
No.
1%. It's got like probiotics.
Okay,
I'm like,
okay, kefir. Yeah.
oh,
okay.
what do you call it?
Kefir.
Oh,
I think
okay.
that's wrong, probably.
Yeah.
But that's what my mom always called it.
Yeah, kefir. Yeah, but anyway, but yeah, I could just imagine you being this like mischievous kid with a recorder, and you just like, I'm gonna do something bad, and then when you do something bad, you get the reaction.
The sample, man.
Just to get the genuine reactions.
Man, it's funny. I remember, man, I must have been in like elementary school. And it was when I first discovered like what production was and stuff, and I got Audacity on like my
I've
family.
heard of that.
Man, it's like the bare minimum.
Oh, really?
I mean, it is like, you remember Microsoft Paint?
Yes.
It's like that, but for music.
Really?
And I would just be going around the house recording sounds. I didn't know what sampling was or anything, but it was like, man, I didn't know what I didn't know what a MIDI was, but I would like, I'd hear like my dad like opening a beer can, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And man, I throw that in songs to this day.
The same beer can?
Not the same one.
Or your
No,
dad.
I've now included it. Now I've made like, you know, with high-end mics, I'll get like a certain kind that I know the carbonation's going to make I get careful with it.
Nice.
But that's something I use to this day. That I bro, I was like in 3rd grade. I didn't know what Ableton, FL, I didn't know those existed. I knew my cousin had GarageBand on his computer because he had a Mac. And I thought GarageBand was like the highest end of the technology. I
Yeah,
thought like
same.
it doesn't go above that. So yeah, it was weird, man. I mean, I forget about stuff like that, but I mean, I was like having my mom like hit a soda can while I was like trying to like make a beat on there, and I didn't even know what I was doing.
That's sick.
I think maybe, I don't know, producers, do you think they're born or made?
I think anyone could be a producer, to be honest. Like, I think it's about how much time you put into it, and if you like, you got to be passionate about it enough to believe in yourself and stick with it. It's like a lifestyle. Like, you're stuck being this way for the rest of your life, pretty much. Like,
You're never going to know it all.
yeah, like
Never.
exactly. So it's like you're always going to be experimenting with things, and I think that as long as you have that mentality, then you can be a producer. And I honestly, I think anyone can do what I do, pretty much. Like, I don't think that like I have just the most unique set of ideas. Like, I think anyone that develops their mindset enough to the point where my mindset is, they could come up with similar ideas. Like, I think that like what is the separator is maybe part of it is your brain cells are dead. Like, you might have less brain cells.
I got a lot of dead brain cells.
It's like, I think it's just the DNA aspect of it that separates us. But if, let's say, you had all of the same operating faculties and your mindset was like, okay, I'm going to get really good at this, you could do what I do. Like, I really believe that if you understood the system, like I do, everything I do is like through a system of cycles, patterns, just like understanding things to a logical standpoint.
Yeah.
And kind of making meaning out of things that create decisions. And if you understand why those decisions make sense, then you can get to like big, huge like places that are unfathomable when you're starting out.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's like my mentors here tell me this so much, man. They're like, dude, just trust your ears. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I can tell, like, you definitely, you've been doing this long enough that you probably just, like, that's just instinct now. But I have to consciously remind myself still sometimes, like, hey, if it sounds good, like, that's what you do. Like, I had my friends that have never produced in here the other night. We came here at, like, 6 a.m. And I was making a beat, and they saw me using an EQ. I explained what that was, and they were like, why did you make that boost there? And it was like, because it sounds good.
Yeah.
There's no other reason. There's not a technical like, oh well, I want to fit between these frequencies. No, it's
just like a impulse. You were like,
it sounds good.
It was a reflex at that point. You weren't even thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, God, it's like muscle memory cutting off the low end on my melodies now. I mean, it's just as I'm going through, it's just what I do.
Yeah,
you know,
that's what I think is really important. Is like allowing yourself to get into a state of momentum and being able to have a clear connection from ideas to the physical world. It was like being connected to your DAW.
Yeah.
If you can feel that connection,
it's just an extension of you.
It's an extension, and you just start making decisions, and it's all done, and it sounds great, and you're like, well, it's just because it just made sense.
Yeah.
You didn't really think about it.
I just did the next right thing.
Yeah. It's like, oh, what does it need? Oh, it needs this. It needs this. It's like you already know the moves because you've done it so many times that the idea is just as simple as, oh, I have the idea. Boom. And
you
then,
exist in the zone.
Yeah, exactly. And that, I think, is really important because when you take time away from it or you're focusing on so many different other things, that connection becomes less and less. And that's where sitting down, I sometimes, even if I don't work on a beat for like music for like 3 days, because the way my mind is that it's like if I work really hard on music, my social life is going to slack, and I'm not going to be as aware of people's feelings and stuff like that. I'm going to be like it's going to be harder for me to be connected to the world, like I feel.
Interesting.
And then I'm like, okay, well, let me actually work on connecting with people and being more connected to the world. My music is going to suffer a little bit. But at the same time, sometimes it doesn't, because there's another aspect of it where it's about absorbing. It's like absorb influences from everywhere. Yeah. And that's what's actually going to channel through into your music later on. So it's like someone going through a hard time or whatever, like you finding compassion in that actually translate into your music. But it's like you need to be able to like be okay. I'm going to be focusing on creating the mental connection with my DAW and get really good at that. Have the decisions already, like know the technical aspects. That's going to be in you. But now if I'm taking time away, I'm going to work on my relationships, work on my mental health and stuff like that. Actually coming back to it, I'm going to have all of the influences that I just absorbed.
You just picked up, yeah.
And then I'm going to have a hard time with connecting to the DAW. But if I sit there for a day, 2 days, 3 days, now I'm back and I'm making some of the best music I've ever made because I have that time away. But then also now I'm like, I feel even more connected to it. So it's like being able to have that balance. And for me, like I need to travel like every 3 months to like a different country. It's like somewhere else. Just like I need that because for me, it's like I need to learn. I want to get to know like. I love going to third world countries, to be honest.
Really?
It's just like, and I don't
it's certainly a different experience. I mean, it's like, I feel like that's where a lot of the real passionate stuff comes from.
It's not fake. Like
it's not fake.
Yeah.
Certainly, I mean, I see some rappers coming in here that like, they come from different life circumstances that I could fathom. I mean, I grew up, in a well-off family. Things were taken care of. But there's people that are coming and they want to hop in that booth to talk about something that is true to them. Like they live and breathe this. This is, they don't have some like safe haven to go home to. So I think that's like so cool that, doing that, getting to the third world countries, like.
Yeah, and it's super cheap. So it's like, it's cheap to travel there, plus you can get really good food.
You go after a natural disaster, it's even cheaper. I'm going to Turkey next week.
That Airbnb is actually in the water.
Yeah. Bring a float.
Yeah, that's all you need. But that is, so like I think traveling is really essential. Go through stuff, like actually allow yourself to go through things emotionally, because I think that we don't allow ourselves to feel sometimes. I think especially as men because it's like we want to kind of harden and be like, no, I just got to only focus on this and only this. So it's like we just keep tucking things in It's like sometimes it's actually great to untuck and just be like, man, I'm sad, or I'm like going through whatever this with this person or whatever. It's like, how can I improve my relationships? What am I doing that is like, how can I be a better person?
Oh my gosh.
And
bro.
that's how you actually, like, when you come back, you can actually look at music through a different perspective too, and also be able to, I think as a producer, you're there to really try to channel a message from that artist in the most compassionate way, to like, because I don't know what you really are going through, but I'm going to try to create a space that you feel safe, feel like you can express it, you can like where we can just start feeling like we're at least connecting to the point where we can share ideas, and that's when the best music comes in. There's just that no filter, there's nothing there, it's just free flowing, like a feeling of like I guess this community, like we're like all going through the same thing, and we're just there to help each other. So it's like, first you got to get through all the business side, and then like there's so much you have to sift through, but that's the key, I think, is if you can get to that point where you're just feeling like you're really connected with that artist and trying to understand what they're really going through. And the only way to know that is to also know how your reality is. And it's like, if you're constantly focusing too much on like tucking it in, you're not going to know how to like handle your own shit.
Yeah.
So it's like being able to like heal your traumas,
bro,
and not have that seep in, and just be as willing to like absorb what that person is like, that song, or like what they want to be, whatever their message is. That's what's going to make the song better, I feel.
I couldn't, like, if this was like, that was a texter, I'd be emphasizing it like over and over, man. It's so like, part of what like got me to this point was, I went through struggles with like addiction and stuff. And I grew up in a well-off family. Like, it was a good upbringing, so I didn't really have any difficulty. But what happened was, I also didn't have to fight to get anything. I didn't have that hunger in me. Like, things were provided. Like, I knew like my college money was going to be taken care of. There was never worries about, are we going to make rent this month in my household? But then, man, when I went through like a few years of like some addiction, like, I went from being the kid that grew up in those circumstances to really being at some rock bottoms.
Right. And
that changed how I view the world and how I like work at my music. Because like, I've experienced what that bottom feels like. Wow. Probably not, like other people who grew up in poor or like impoverished communities. That's a different type of circumstance. But
it was still a bottom for you.
No, like, I know what that feels like when I'm doing nothing with my life. I know what it feels like to wake up every day on end with no job, no friends, no employment, and knowing that I'm still going to try to find a way to get drunk and high that day. Yeah. And knowing that I'm going to make an embarrassment of myself that night, I know I'm going to do it the next day. That's a feeling that, like, I will fight every day to never experience again. If this music thing is my best way to distance myself from that, I will put everything I have into it. Because, like, I do not want to have to go back to that situation of like being at the bottom, like being that one that my friends had to worry about or couldn't be around.
That's huge, and you probably saved your life too.
I mean, it really did. Like, truth be told, like when I was early on and getting sober, and I had thoughts of going back, I was like, I wasn't doing the music, I wasn't grinding, I wasn't developing these connections. Like, I truly think, this music is like the reason that things have turned out so well for me when I kind of went to turn my life around. Because it's like, I had to have something to be passionate about. I had to have something to excite me. Regular day-to-day stuff doesn't excite me. Going to the grocery store, hanging out with your friend, going to an office, I can't do that. Right. But I need something that I can see myself getting better at, that I can like look back a year from now and be like, yo, I did something this year. Yeah. I became a dog this year, bro. Yeah. I worked so hard on music the past year. I'm confident in myself now. Right. And that's a place that I wasn't at a year ago. And I wouldn't have that, I mean, it's like, man, you go up and you start talking, like if I'm going, to talk to a girl at the bar or something. Yeah. I'm confident in who I am right now. Right. I don't have to have a drink in me to go talk to her. You know, like, I'm happy with what I'm doing, and that only came from like experiencing those bottoms, you know?
I agree.
So I think, not that everyone has to go through that, but if, people are going through something, might just be the fuel you need.
Yeah.
Might be what.
Honestly.
Because I don't think I'd be working this hard if I didn't go through that.
You need to go through things.
If I went, the typical path, like went through college, completed it, got my degree and got a job, I wouldn't work. I wouldn't be the workhorse I am right now.
Yeah.
I would not be. And I'd be another average Joe.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that because I think you had the mindset. Like, the fact that you were the way you are now means that you had a seed inside that had that type of, is there more for me than what I'm going through right now? Which I don't think you can be average with that mentality at all. So I think that we all do have something like that in us, but we just we kind of get so confined to a certain lifestyle that it just prevents us from seeing that potential that we can become.
We put ourselves in a box sometimes, man.
It's not like we do it on purpose either. It's just like, it's because we have to get by in some way. And so there are going to be people that have like it a little bit easier than others, but it's like there is that still struggle that you have to go through to be like, what more is there for me? How else could I reach a better, how can I get to a better place? Because there's always a better place you can be. At the same time, though, you also want to be able to accept where you are.
Yeah.
And that's also very hard because that's where that mental health comes in, where you're constantly comparing yourself with everybody. But it's not about where everyone else is. It's about where you are in your journey and understanding what are the steps that I need to take that are going to help me get to that next place.
Yeah.
Of either the next client or whatever that step is for you. And so that's why I think that, like, for me, I don't completely identify myself as just like Rivis the producer. I see myself as like the entrepreneur, the visionary. It isn't just about production. Like it's a way of thinking.
Yep.
And it's like how to bring people together, how to be like, okay, this is what you're good at, this is what I'm good at, this is how we can work well together. Yep. And well, yes, that's dead. All right,
cool.
But yeah, so I think that's really big, is like being able to like, I mean, not everyone has that, but at least for me, like I don't just see myself as the producer. I see myself as the what was it called? A facilitator. It's like I have a like, if I have an idea, I want to figure out how to make it come. I've got so many ideas. Yeah. And I just got to figure out what's the best idea to go with. And it's like, how can we make this come together? And if I see something in someone else, I'm like, oh, I had that idea a year ago. Now it actually can happen because now I see it's being presented to me in this way. So like being open-minded, I think is really big, and not just completely confining yourself to a one track goal, but being able to, like, things can change as you go. Because you're really, like, I heard you do a lot of sampling. And so, like, you were talking about you do splice samples. So how did you get into splice samples, and what's the, like, logistics behind even getting your samples on Splice?
So I do have more experience with Looperman, but the first thing is you have to get approved. Like, you do have to say, like, hey, because they're not going to check everyone's files, so they have to be like, why are you, like, credible enough that you're not going to upload shit? Like,
from someone else's shit.
Yeah, or like, are you somebody that we're going to have to, like, double check their work?
Okay.
And so now I've done it enough that Looperman just lets me upload directly to the site.
You just love mentioning Looperman at any time.
Looperman, Splice, any of them. I use them interchangeably, but it's like, it's...
You're really going to get this Looperman
Bro, I am
funding.
going to be the face of them. Man, I've got so many companies I need to start plugging just so they give me free stuff.
That's huge too. Just shout out companies.
Dude, I got a Taco Bell tattoo on my leg.
Yeah,
it says Live Moss on my leg.
Well, all right.
Yeah.
That's going to help.
Yeah, dude. God, imagine if you had a brand behind you as a producer, but just like a totally random brand.
That
like
would
Doritos.
be cool. Oh, like a NASCAR driver?
Yeah.
Just like you just wear.
I have to have Doritos every time I'm cooking up in front of people.
I have to use Dorito sounds in my. I actually use the
my
chips.
tag is actually just a crunch.
Yeah, I have to use the chips as a snare.
Yeah. Bro, we
crackle.
could put a Dorito in there and just stamp down on the hi-hat.
Yeah. There's a Dorito break every 4 seconds. We have to.
Yeah.
I'm contractually obligated to eat Doritos while I talk.
Yeah. Sorry. Man, so like, who's like the biggest, organization or something that's reached out to you regarding work? Like, have you ever, like, you've been checking your email or socials and you're like, oh, I didn't expect to hear from someone like that?
It's not like, oh, I'm this person from this team. Mm-hmm. It's just so it's literally me having to put the dots together to be like, all right, who does this person actually? Who do they work with?
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Who's like, who can I get to on the chain of command?
No, like, who is this?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm trying to figure out. So when they reach out to me, it's not like we are this team. Mm-hmm. It's usually a guy who's like, I got this idea, and I know you're an independent producer. If I send you these exclusive stems, can you do something with it?
Wow.
And then I'm like, yeah, just send them. And then I end up making something out of it, and I send them the contract and all that, and it seems all squared away, and they screw me over by uploading it and taking all the credit, and I'm like, oh, okay, like, now I've got to sue you.
Yeah. Have you had to go through that?
Yeah.
You've sued a few people?
I'm in the middle of a lawsuit right now.
Yeah.
So
was that the one you were telling me about?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you can speak about that on camera.
Yeah, so that's the thing is, like, I don't always know who it is that I'm working with. All I can go off of is the relationship.
Oh, so you get like any point of contact?
Yeah. It isn't just like big companies coming to me. It's these people who are linked with these people.
You just cracked my mind wide open because I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be sending the loops to these producers. I should be like finding their assistant or like who engineers for them and getting them. It's probably a lot easier than just mass DM and Kenny Beats.
Yeah. I love your stuff, dude. Like, I would actually say send your music to the engineers.
Yeah.
Like you. Like,
yeah. Like, email myself.
Yeah. You don't open it. Yeah. This guy is too needy.
Yeah, God.
I got too many
fucking weirdo.
Oh, I made this one. Yeah. But yeah, dude, I feel like we could talk forever. And all the cameras are dead. I don't even know what's on. I know this one's still going. Maybe, I don't know, but
we'll wrap it up so we can cook up or something.
Yeah, dude, let's cook up some music.
It was great, man.
Dude,
I appreciate
pleasure,
it.
man.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
So on Instagram, main way to get in touch with me, Aden Shea, AIDAN SHEA, and then the number 1. Also check us out, Bamboo Recording Studios on Instagram. A lot of fun stuff. That I would say those are the 2 best ways to get in contact with either me or anyone. We've got a whole great team here.
Yeah.
And we are all so happy to work. Got to give one last shout out to our other person here that I didn't mention, Curious Sound. He's one of the artists I would recommend keeping an eye out for. Okay. Check him out on Instagram. But yeah, it's me, him, and the 2 owners, and we're all here to help.
That's awesome, man.
Sweet.
Cool. Well, that will be it for the Producer Pod. Catch you guys on the next one. There's always I'm just trying to think what I could plug, but I'm always working on stuff, and you'll hear about it as I go. So thank you guys for watching, and catch you guys later.
Cool.
Peace.
All right, man.
That's it, dude.
Sick.
We crushed it, man.
That was a good one.
That was, dude. It's like, I really think we could have kept on going for
Bro, I know.
There's only so much footage I'm willing to edit, dude.
I know.
That was at least 2 hours, you know that?
Really?
We went for 2 hours.
That's sick.
Yeah.
That's sick, dude.
That was actually the first podcast that I did was 2 hours, and then I was like, dude, because every time I sit down, I'm like, how long is this going to be, like 30 minutes, 40 minutes? I just let the flow, like, because we're already passionate people.
Yeah.
So we're already going to be talking about it for, like, in depth.
Yeah.
And it's just cool because it's just like, we're just documenting things we would already talk about.
Yeah, I know. This is literally just the day-to-day conversations of, like, producers,
Yeah, and that's why I feel like this comes so naturally. And then so we could talk literally for hours and hours. And there's times where I'm like, we're having a conversation, and I'm like, dude, this is great for the podcast.
Yeah, I know.
We need to be recording this. Like, everything can be content, man.
Oh,
So,
that's sick. Here, I'm gonna get a quick picture of the setup. And do a little Instagram promotion for it or something.
Yeah, that sounds good. Scrape blood. Just you start limping. It's gonna be called Blood Studios.
Their original one was Crip Studio.
Oh, really?
That was what this was before. That's why.
What?
Oh, that's the best.
I do what I want, you do what you can. You do what you want when you know you the man. Run me my bands. I'm with them bitches thumbing through my hands. Wanna take trips out to London and France. Well, shawty, she playing my